Hello? That's not funny!
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 funniest Family Guy cutaways.
Oh, God, there are reruns in Cutaway Land. I remember this one. It takes a while.
For this list, we're looking at this animated sitcom's most hilarious and wacky cutaways throughout the years. Which Family Guy cutaway makes you laugh the hardest? Feel free to let us know in the comments below. Number 20, Cookie Monster in Treatment. While running a fictional company, Stewie gives Brian two tasks: sending a gift basket to Lois and telling Cookie Monster not to call until he's in remission.
Oh, and if Cookie Monster calls, tell him I am not talking to him until he gets out of rehab.
The scene then cuts to Cookie Monster in an addiction treatment facility where he's undergoing a bed check. The nurses find a plate of cookies, and after the puppet lies about where he gets them, he quickly scarfs the contraband down. He's restrained to a bed, all while insulting the orderlies. This cutaway is a perfect juxtaposition between a childhood icon and the realities of addiction, and it is hilarious. Unfortunately, later on in the episode, we learn that the treatment wasn't enough when Lois catches him heating up a spoonful of dough in a bathroom stall. Number 19, Stewie knocks out Will Ferrell.
And you've only spent $1.50. That's a hell of a lot less than I had to spend to go see that piece of crap remake of Bewitched.
After learning that Peter has spent less than $2 for a spacious place to live in South America, Stewie chimes in to say that it was less than what he had to pay to watch the 2005 rendition of Bewitched. We then cut to him in the theater, unimpressed as Will Ferrell's character delivers a bad joke. Stewie leaves, and with a deadpan expression flies to Los Angeles. Once he finally reaches Ferrell's mansion, he breaks his silence to punch the actor and proclaim the joke wasn't funny.
Hello? That's not funny!
Despite the lengthy setup, Stewie's blank look throughout his travels keeps the audience from growing bored, and it flows into the punchline seamlessly, proving that the jokes on the show do not have to be short to be funny. Number 18, Peter forgets how to sit. While being chased by Mel Gibson's security for stealing an unreleased movie, Peter remarks that the moment was even wilder than the time he forgot how to sit down.
Oh, man, this is even more intense than that time I forgot how to sit down.
We're then shown Peter silently studying the chair in his living room before taking a running leap at it. Obviously, this causes the entire chair to topple over, showing us the iconic Family Guy fall pose. Besides the fact that him forgetting how to sit is completely in character, Peter seeing it as intense as the situation they are currently in only adds to the hilarity. Cutaways like this demonstrate that the show is at its best when it leans into how silly the characters are.
Hey, Lois, look, I'm a booger.
Number 17, Peter getting the cutaways ready. If there's one thing Family Guy does well, it's meta humor. Peter remarks that football is the best part of his Sunday, except when he gets to schedule the cutaways for the week. The scene cuts to him in his living room, surrounded by various characters.
Okay, my great-uncle wears a ski hat all the time. Griffin will be followed by Nick Nolte's handkerchief, followed by Japanese Abe Lincoln.
He lists a few examples of who they'll definitely need, such as a monkey rabbi, and answers characters when they ask if they're necessary. The writers get a bit tongue-in-cheek when they have Peter ask where the extra campy gay characters are, poking fun at how they make light of certain stereotypes.
There you are. We're gonna need you guys all week.
The scene serves as a way to let viewers know that Family Guy is very self-aware about the jokes it makes, both good and bad.
You got no class, you bitch! No, you got no class!
Number 16, Working with Christian Bale. In 2009, famed actor Christian Bale had a public meltdown while on the set of a new Terminator movie. The accompanying video shocked the world, and for a while, he was known for his short temper. In typical Family Guy fashion, they poked fun at this by inserting Peter into the situation.
What don't you get about it?
I don't get why we need another Terminator. I don't get it.
During the cutaway, they played the exact recording that was released from Bale's rant, but with Peter's hilarious and innocuous comments. His ridiculous commentary about things like pie and Christmas lights interspersed with the actor's genuine anger was the best way to highlight just how out of pocket the whole moment was.
By the way, sorry, I ate that last piece of pie that you were saving for yourself.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
It was good.
The show even referenced his rant again in a later season.
And Christian Bale and annoying cameramen.
Hey, Christian, looks like I'm rooming with you.
Oh, good for you.
Number 15, Canadian Alcatraz. Canada is known for many things, but one stereotype sticks out more than anything else: seemingly unending politeness.
Oh, sure, that's what Canadian hospitality's all about. If you like, you can have all my money and my leg.
After Quagmire explains that tricking a former flame of Brian's would be simpler than escaping from Canadian Alcatraz, we cut to a scene of a prisoner politely asking a guard if he can leave. The guard grants his request, but only if he's back by bedtime.
Can I go out through here? Just be back by bedtime. Okay.
The incarcerated man simply saying okay in response before leaving highlights just how placid the Family Guy writers find Canadians. The fact that the prisoner was casually leaving one of the more notoriously hard-to-escape prisons is the cherry on top. The cutaway also proves that the writers don't always have to punch down to be funny. Number 14, Stewie auditioning for American Idol. Even evil geniuses get embarrassed sometimes. While in the car with Brian, Stewie says that once he accomplishes his plan of taking over the world, he'll be as big as he was meant to be on American Idol. We're shown Stewie at his audition, singing an off-key rendition of Debbie Gibson's Lost in Your Eyes.
I don't mind not knowing what I'm headed for.
Afterward, Simon Cowell wastes no time laying into him, even saying that he doesn't deserve to be alive. The whole scene is a perfect parody of an over-the-top audition for the iconic singing competition, from Cowell's dream-crushing comments to Stewie's tearful and angry reaction to being rejected.
Next time they hear about me, there's gonna be like, we was wrong about Stewie, cause that's gonna be huge.
Considering this episode was a bit darker than usual, a lighthearted joke like this was exactly what the audience needed. Number 13, Brian can't recognize his reflection. Brian acts so much like a human throughout the series that it can sometimes be hard to remember that he's actually a dog. After chastising Stewie for not recognizing Halloween costumes, he retorts that Brian doesn't even know his own reflection. We then see the dog walking past a mirror, spotting his reflection and angrily telling it to get out of his house.
Hey, get out of here! This is my house!
He runs to attack the intruder and instead knocks himself out. Peter rushes in to check on him, only to also not recognize his reflection. Much like his dog, he slams into the mirror to fight it and collapses. Seeing the two have the exact same reaction despite their difference in species emphasizes how goofy Peter truly is.
Are you okay?
No, I came in with my wife and now I can't find her.
Number 12, Chris isn't ready for cutaways. It's finally Chris's time to shine, as he gets to set up his first cutaway. He starts off well, saying how this meal was even crazier than the one he had at Tommy Sullivan's house.
Wow, this is the craziest meal I've had since I had lunch at Tommy Sullivan's house.
However, instead of the usual wacky scene, it cuts to him eating dinner with Tommy's family, and he tells his mother how much he likes her mac and cheese. When we cut back to the Griffins, we see Peter and Lois incredibly disappointed. They tell him how terrible his attempt was, and Peter says that Chris isn't ready for cutaways yet.
He is not ready for flashbacks.
No, he is not.
Turns out setting those up is a privilege, and it's one that you have to earn. Although we have to give Chris some credit just for trying. Number 11, Peter has acrylic nails. While lamenting the fact that Brian is getting older, Peter says he'll have to get used to the idea the same way he had to get used to having acrylic nails.
Brian's getting old. He's not the dog he used to be, and I'll have to get used to it. Just like I got used to my acrylic nails.
The scene cuts to Peter at a computer with long red acrylic nails, typing something out one letter at a time. He then takes a call with a friend and tells her he can talk, despite having people on hold, all while admiring his fabulous nails.
No, I got 4 people on hold, but I can talk.
Even people with long acrylics could not deny that there was some truth to the clip. This cutaway is an absolute classic and has stood the test of time to become a beloved internet meme. Number 10, Will Smith's nice clean rap. After successfully winning over the popular kids, Stewie thinks that he's even better than Will Smith's nice clean rap. We then cut to the Fresh Prince himself in the recording booth laying down a lukewarm beat about good behavior.
Ooh, I respect women when I'm on a date. I take them to the park or maybe a museum and I only try to kiss them if they're ready. Woohoo!
The DVD commentary states that this cutaway was a jab at Will Smith's rap song Parents Just Don't Understand. You'd expect someone with Smith's comedic abilities to be a little less kid-friendly with his music. But to be fair, his early work wasn't like your typical vulgar rap numbers.
Wipe your shoes on the mat when you come in the house. Someone just clean that floor. Woohoo! Say what?
This gag just takes that fact to hilarious new levels, showing what would happen if he went full-on squeaky clean with his music. Number 9, Fire Trucks documentary on National Geographic. After answering an easy trivia question during game night, Peter counts his blessings that he watched a National Geographic special about fire trucks. We then cut to a small snippet from the aforementioned documentary, where we see a fire truck stalking an animal herd, not unlike a lion. Once it's found its meal, the truck protects it from savage ambulances hoping to snag a bite.
The ambulances will have to wait their turn.
This gag is too ridiculous to not be funny, and it even has a follow-up near the end of the episode. Peter catches a fire truck stalking outside his house, but the truck shows him why it's the king of the emergency vehicles. Number 8. Stubborn as a mule. Once the Griffins arrive in Texas, Brian warns the family that Texans can be as stubborn as a mule.
Nope. Sorry, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
To emphasize his point, we're then shown a cutaway of a mule arguing with a friend, refusing to admit that Kevin Bacon was in 1984's Footloose even though he totally was. His friend tries to make him see reason, but the mule is not having any of it. He constantly blocks out the protest and ends the argument in the loudest way possible.
Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was a star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead.
Not only does the cutaway end hilariously, it's also relatable for anyone who's had to deal with that one jerk who can't stand being wrong about anything, facts or no facts. Number 7. Robert Loggia at the airport. What's worse than having to wait in line? How about waiting behind someone who's taking way too long at the check-in clerk?
May I have your name, please?
Robert Loggia.
Can you spell that for me?
Certainly. That's Robert Loggia. R as in Robert Loggia. O as in, oh my God, it's Robert Loggia.
Peter recalls a time when he was forced to experience this very scenario when he was stuck behind Robert Loggia checking in at the airport. That doesn't sound so bad, except Robert agonizingly spells out his name with expressions about calling attention to himself.
T as in Tim. Look over there. It's Robert Loggia. Space. L as in look. It's Robert Loggia.
We can't say if Robert was really like this, but the situation is just too bizarre to not be funny, especially considering how frustrating going through an airport really is. The one downside is that we don't get to hear Robert finish spelling himself out.
Not okay!
Number 6. Stewie's relaxation spot. Before the Griffins head out for a relaxing weekend, Stewie thinks back to his personal favorite relaxation spot. We then immediately cut to the toddler dancing shirtless at a nightclub, surrounded by muscular, also shirtless men with high-energy music blasting through the speakers.
I know the guy that owns this place!
It's hard to tell what the major punchline of this gag is. Is it poking fun at Stewie's ambiguous sexuality, or is it the fact that he finds relaxation in a crowded nightclub with loud thumping music? Either way, it offers a short and funny look into how our favorite sociopathic baby unwinds after a long, stressful day of plotting and scheming. Number 5. Alan Rickman Calls Himself. While waiting for Cleveland, Peter remarks that his beer looks lonelier than Alan Rickman's answering machine. Immediately, we cut to said answering machine, where Alan Rickman calls himself for a few friendly reminders.
Hello. You've reached Alan Rickman at 555-0122. Please leave a message at the beep.
It's sad that people are too scared to give Alan a call, but it's also hysterical to hear such simple memos to himself being spoken in his trademark steady, intimidating tone. Obviously, they couldn't get the real Alan to voice himself. It would have been a miracle if they could, but Alex Sulkin does a fairly impressive impersonation, right down to his mannerisms.
Alan, it's me again. Remember that turtle joke for the party?
If Alan were still alive today, we're sure he'd be flattered, or at least have a good chuckle. Number 4. Peter joining book club? Peter gets invited to Ryan Reynolds' housewarming party, and he believes it'll be way more fun than what usually happens on Friday nights at the Griffin home. It turns out that Friday is the night Lois hosts her book club meeting. She invites Peter to join them, he cheerfully says yes, and then gruesomely breaks his own neck.
Yeah, that sounds great. Anything beats what goes on at my house Friday nights. Hey, Lois, what's going on here?
Oh, it's my book club, Peter. Come, join us.
Oh, okay.
It's true that not everyone wants to be dragged into a book club, but this is a bit of an overreaction on Peter's part. On the other hand, maybe he just doesn't want to relive his last book club meeting.
Here's another thing. The book can also be A hat.
Either way, that is definitely one graphically effective method to escape an unwanted situation. Number 3, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty. Whenever anyone, especially Peter, needs a quick distraction from an awkward moment, a poorly done joke, or to pad out the show, they call on a little help from the late Conway Twitty.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty.
Nice to see.
After those 6 little words, we cut to a short video of Mr. Twitty's musical performances, every now and then altered with photoshopped headwear for the musician.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Beaver.
While not always used gracefully, this has become one of Family Guy's most memorable running gags, and it definitely fulfills the need to create a diversion.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty.
There's no need in going over.
It could also be seen as a funny tribute to the departed musician, though Mr. Twitty might not see it that way.
Conway Twitty says cut it out. Just write a joke.
Number 2, Peter's life, narrated by Peter. When Peter worries about Chris's new phase, Lois and Brian remind him of one of his own previous stages, when he spent 2 weeks narrating his own life.
I looked with a grimace at the questionable meal Lois had placed in front of me. Of course, I'd never tell her how disgusted I was with her cooking, but somehow I think she knew.
We then cut to this aggravating phase in action as Peter narrates while eating dinner with Lois, only to hurt her feelings with some rather insensitive storytelling. Lois rightfully cleans his clock, only for him to wake up hours later and pick up where he left off.
I awoke several hours later in a daze.
Not only is it humorous to see Karma literally punch Peter in the face, it also shows that he's actually a fairly decent storyteller, if only he could control his own words. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Chester Cheetah's obsession. Out of all the food mascots, Chester Cheetah was arguably one of the coolest, until you gave him a handful of Cheetos. Then he was dangerously cheesy. When Stewie thinks himself cooler than Chester, we see a whole new side of our favorite cheetah. One that inhales Cheetos like an illegal substance and smashes his hand while listening to heavy rock.
It ain't easy being cheesy.
This is a prime example of one of the show's most hysterical cutaway gags, showing the dark side to our favorite cartoon or TV characters as they become more and more like rundown celebrities than fictional people, further proving that we really have lost those good old-fashioned values. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.